All right. Welcome everybody to our March EngRes The Gathering. If you haven't been here before, here is our agenda. We'll do a quick welcome. We have project updates from 5 different projects. We have something like 8 spotlights from different things that are launching or giving updates in the ecosystem. And then we have 2 deep dives and demos, one with Alan on some of the stuff they're working on in W3S, and then from Shashank on Eastore. And then we'll have lots of time. If you want to follow along as we go through, this is a QR code to the slide deck that I'm currently presenting, so you can make comments or ask questions as you go along, which helps people follow up later. Yeah. As a reminder, what is this gathering? Who are we as humans? We're folks across the Protocol Labs network working on a whole ton of different open source projects across the entire R&D pipeline from many different companies and startups who are all building on this. Researchers, engineers, protocol developers, and folks who are pushing forward the decentralized web. If you're not as familiar with the Protocol Labs network, is kind of working across 3 main verticals. What many of us work on is securing and establishing digital human rights, working to kind of upgrade the internet with more capabilities like content addressing, verifiable storage, secure peer-to-peer networking, and many other capabilities. We also have a core pillar around upgrading economies and governance systems, using better ways of funding public goods, and valuing the contributions from many different open source contributors or ecosystems. And then also a breakthrough pillar on developing safe VR, AR, AI, robotics, BCI, and WBE. What is WBE? I asked yesterday because I didn't know what that was. That's whole brain emulation. So these are really cool new breakthrough technologies that are just on the cutting edge of becoming possible, and making sure that we develop a safe forward pathway for these new technologies is really critical, and what many of these building blocks aim to do for the internet as well. This is a slight snapshot, just a subset of the many different projects across that R&D pipeline that folks work on, and our PL engineering and research working group, or this one, aims to support and connect these many different projects with each other so that we can be helping ideas that form in the early research stage make it through all the way to large scale production and affecting many different people who can interact with technologies built on them. So this is our working group mission. We aim to support and accelerate engineering research breakthroughs across the PL network. We want to share the latest breakthroughs. We want to support network native research, and we want to grow the OSS projects, networks, and communities that work on them. Highlighting a couple recent launches and a couple of things that are upcoming. Big snaps for the Fluence team, the IPC team, and many folks who have been involved in FBM over the years for launching the first Filecoin layer 2. That is a super exciting milestone. We'll hear from folks from the Fluence team in a bit, but huge congrats on that. Very exciting milestone for Filecoin, for Fluence, for IPC, for everyone involved to launch that new network. And if you haven't already, go start playing with it. It is live and ready for people to engage. We also this past month had an awesome set of ecosystem gatherings around East Denver. There was the PhilDev Summit #3, libp2p Day, DPIN Day, many other events that I cannot remember the names of off the top of my head, but it was an awesome gathering. There's some great recordings of talks and updates that are now live that you should go and take a look at. And there was a lot of opportunity to sit down and talk with folks as well. If you didn't already see that was announced and launched at those events, there are retro PGF rounds being run for both Filecoin and libp2p next month, which is super exciting. Filecoin nominations close this weekend, so get on it if you haven't already started thinking about nominating the projects that you are most excited about or depend upon the most, or you think have made the biggest impact on the Filecoin ecosystem in the last 6 months, and make sure that they are getting recognized by the community for their amazing work and the public goods they've created. And the Filecoin Foundation around East Denver also released their 2023 annual report, which shares kind of the ecosystem growth that we've seen and their enablement efforts to support that. Looking forward to next month, we have a lot of events and gatherings coming up as well. Philstore has some exciting stuff that they'll be launching in Hong Kong, I believe, helping accelerate that onboarding pipeline for new Web 2 and Web 3 users who are onboarding into the Eastore ecosystem and want to figure out how to onboard their data to Filecoin effectively. Textile Basin, we'll get a deep dive from them in the project section. And they are actively looking for folks who are interested in being POCs in the DePIN space. So if you are a DePIN network and looking for ways to store your data on Filecoin, come talk to the Textile team. We also have the next network upgrade for Filecoin, Dragon, which is launching, I think, on April 11th, though someone correct me if I'm wrong. And that's going to be a big upgrade. It brings a whole ton of new capabilities to the Filecoin network, including a way to do user, or the building blocks, at least, for user programmable markets. So ways of building new markets on Filecoin that are more efficient or have different requirements than the current markets implementation. We mentioned this last time, but lots of work is going into bringing fast finality to Filecoin, so single block time finality, which will then enable just super fast bridging between different networks, super fast transaction confirmations, and a much better experience overall for all FVM applications and ecosystems. So we're very excited and would love to talk to people who are aiming to utilize that in Q2 so we can make sure it works really well and there's a whole set of people who can take advantage of it in the early days. And then early heads up that IPFS Camp and FilDev Summit number 4 will be happening in Brussels in the beginning of July, I think July 8th through 13th or so, alongside EthCC. So if you are not already planning to be in Brussels during that time, come hang out with all of the wonderful humans you collaborate with every day at some of those events. It's going to be a great time. You'll hear more about IPFS Camp in one of the spotlights as well. Cool. Speaking of events, there were a ton of phenomenal events together, snapshot of pictures, and we have some exciting ones coming up, including NFT NYC, Phil Hong Kong, Funding the Commons San Francisco, and the first public goods lab week for the ProbeLab network over top of the same Funding the Commons weekend. So check out events.plnetwork.io for all of those upcoming events. There's also some, a little view into some of the significant events happening at the ProbeLab network layer. We are almost at PL's 10-year anniversary, which will be a crazy milestone and awesome to get together all of the founders and kind of early supporters and contributors over the years to the PL network. Pretty crazy. There's also this public goods lab week that's happening in April. And then the Future Realms lab week focused on AI and neurotech will be happening in June, co-located with Edge City. So mark your calendars. There's also going to be a PL meetup in Austin for consensus. And there's monthly PL lab dinners that are great gatherings to get to know the other people in the PL network in your region and maybe make some cool new connections or find opportunities to collaborate. All right, and without further ado, I will hand off into the project updates, starting with libp2p.
Yay, thanks, Molly. So as most of you already know, libp2p is the network at the heart of most of your favorite Web3 projects. For all intents and purposes, this project is the utilities and sanitation crew that makes most of this stuff work. Next slide, please, Molly, and I'll make this real fast. We got lots of cool updates. So we finally closed the deal on the Retro PGF round from last fall. And so we have reached our continuity funding thanks to the Optimism's Retro PGF. It was we were like number 5 on the list of something like 600 organizations in terms of how much money we received from that. And we are so humble at everybody's support. So thank you. Let's see. We had ETH Denver last month, which was a huge success. We had a compressed schedule. We only did half a day. We had about 230 registrants. We had about 70 people filter in through the day. We had a ton of talks from a lot of different related organizations, some really, really good ones. We did a road mapping and SWOT at the end, which has been very useful in setting direction for 2024. One thing I want to call out is there's a strong desire to try to make the libp2p community much more research oriented. Since we already have functional libp2p implementations, I think people are starting to ask, what's next? What can we do with this great tool that we have? There's a link here to our talks from ETH Denver. please check it out. And we're hoping to have a presence at IPFS camp in ECC Brussels. That is in the works right now. Look for announcements in the next EngRes The Gathering announcement. Let's see. So we have in the upper right-hand corner there, implementation updates. There's been a number of releases over the last couple of months. There are a few pending ones that we'll be talking about next month. I think we have releases coming in from Rust, JavaScript, and actually the thing I'm most excited about, Python libp2p, which just got revived this morning. We had our first open maintainers call for Python libp2p in 2 years. So now we have 4 active maintainers meetings that happen every couple of weeks. So things are growing. Things are coming, getting bigger and more exciting. And I think we're expecting NIM libp2p's community to have a maintainers call starting sometime next month. The last big announcement, and Molly hinted at this earlier, is that libp2p is partnering with Gitcoin, and we will be launching, or we will be having a retro PGF round for contributors and projects in and around the libp2p community next month. So keep an eye out for that, and get the nominations in April, and hopefully we will be able to direct the funds to make libp2p even more useful and provide a lot more capabilities to the downstream projects that rely on us. And that's it, Molly. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Over to Filecoin. James, I think you're first.
I'm actually going to take this one. So for Filecoin, we are building a decentralized storage network. Next slide, please. So most of the updates are actually getting sneak peek by Molly earlier already, so I'm going to go really fast. But yeah, last December, we shipped MV21 watermelon for Filecoin, and since then, we have been working on MV22, which is the Dragon upgrade that is coming on April the 11th. Molly got the date right. You probably already know direct data onboarding DDO is coming. We're switching to the new DRAM QuickNet that allow us to have faster DRAM block times that you can hopefully soon to be using FEM smart contract. Someone should build that. I'm very excited about that. And actually building time lock encryption use cases in the smart contracts and so on and so forth, where we are enhancing some of the performance of the network by removing more job out of the crown so that the chain is more stable. And we're also adding a lot of native actor events into the built-in miner market verified Filecoin Plus actors, just so that toolings can adapt the DDO changes, so still providing a lot of visibilities into the data onboarding activities to the Filecoin network. Like we mentioned, Dragon has launched calibration testnet already last month, so please join there and testing your stack, and hopefully that everything goes very smoothly in April and everyone can enjoy the new features of Filecoin. We have a couple new integrations, so Supranational, SuperSeal, optimizations has the C2 and the PC2 one has been fully integrated into the Lotus miner in the recent release, and it brings up the sector seeding times up to 75%, which is a huge improvement for search providers. So please try that out. A lot of opportunities. We have talked about fast finality a lot. We actually have a website for that now. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. I will do Curio next. However, since like MV21 synthetic ProbeLab, we're working on next ProbeLab that can bring more cost reduction for storage providers. So we're working on that ProbeLab, which is a different ProbeLab that is fully enabled trustless Celia as a service. So if you haven't checked it out, please join the channel. There's a lot of development work that's going on right now. We're working with Web3 and so on so forth just to bring the implementation to life. Your feedback is very welcome. The FIP is still in draft, so if you are supportive of the FIP, please let us know in the FIP discussion. Huge shout out to ChainSafe DevOps team, who has been taking over a lot of heavy lifting of the Filecoin crypto network infrastructures by launching Bootstrap node, running the calibration testnet. We have a brand new data cab and faucet on the calibration net, and they have been supporting Filecoin snapshot, backing up by Forest node with validation with the Lotus node, launching as well in the network. So if you are using the snapshot, it's actually generated by the Forest node, which is super exciting. Another opportunity, we have been listening to the builder feedback who is building applications on top of FVM. A lot of people want the support for Ethereum legacy transaction, we opened up a FIP discussion just to talk about how can we bring that to Filecoin so people can actually, integrate with Ethereum toolings like a Trust Wallet, MetaMask more easily with the building block that you are already familiar with. If you actually want to see this feature coming to the Filecoin network, please again engage us in the FIP discussions and so that you can send a signal to the core devs. Last but not least, I want to do a quick shout out and call out to the Curio team. If you haven't heard about them, they are formerly from the Lotus team, mostly working on the Lotus miner. They are right now graduating from the Lotus team, but still working very closely as Lotus maintainers. And they are starting their own organization called Curio that's working on the next generation of the Filecoin SP stack to unleashing all the Filecoin storage potentials. The co-founder of the team is Magic, OG of Filecoin, everyone knows about that. He created Lotus with Kuba, Y, Yusha, and so on and so forth, joined by Andy Jackson, Nicholas, and Nayak, who are all like very core team members of Lotus and Boost team over the past 3 years. So their team will keep maintaining Lotus Miner and Boost for the existing Filecoin storage provider users, while working on the next generation, aka Lotus Miner V2, however better and more efficient. It's going to be called Curio. They are going to be prioritizing the storage provider user experience, and they're actually doing the testnet. The GA launch will be in April. In collaboration, you can already testing all the DDO features, Snapdeal, and everything that you have been doing with Lotus Miner using the Curio storage, and with the brand new Curio Web UI for SPs to manage, monitor your cluster, your pipeline, and your tasks, which has been a highly requested feature from the storage provider for a really long time. So please check it out. I forgot to link the channel. They do have a public channel in Filecoin Slack, which is Phil Curio Dev. So please join the channel to feel out the latest development announcement and updates, and they are welcoming your feedback. And that's it.
Oh, awesome. Tons of updates. And next time we meet, we'll already have an upgraded network. Do we have Tom to tell us about the Filecoin Retro PGF? Might not have a Tom. I will stand in and pretend to be Tom. As a reminder, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but we have our first Filecoin Retro PGF or Retro Public Goods funding round that kicked off a couple of weeks ago at ETH Denver. The aim is to kind of close the impact gap between things that are super high impact, but maybe don't have ways of capturing other funding routes, and make sure that public goods are rewarded in the Filecoin ecosystem, and there's a great incentive for everyone to publish and share and make accessible super useful tools that help push the Filecoin ecosystem forward. If you haven't already, please go and nominate projects that are high value. The criteria is that they have to have created value in the last 6 months in the Filecoin ecosystem. And I imagine there are many things. I think I was already seeing something on the order of like 40 plus, maybe more nominations when I was staring at it a couple of days ago. I have like a lot of things that I want to add as well. So please take some time. It closes on March 31st. So you only have 3 more days to nominate all of the things. There's going to be 2 million in fill allocated and distributed to projects. I think it was 200K fill was actually the specific number. And the aim is to repeat this at least multiple times a year, maybe every 6 months. Some people are aggressive and think every 4 months, but we will see. And very excited to run this kind of first Retro PGF round for the whole Filecoin ecosystem. Over to Textile. Carson.
Hello, everybody can hear me? Great. So this is going to be a little more markety and salesy than I normally do, especially given this group. But yeah, we got a pretty cool announcement from Textile. You can jump to the next slide, which has got the meat. So Molly actually kind of already scooped this a little bit, but this is actually the first public announcement of some work that we're currently calling codename Basin or Project Basin. name TBD is the thing there, but we're calling it Project Basin, and some folks maybe on the call have been involved in some of our earlier MVPs here. But we're going to be launching a decentralized object storage system for high throughput data. It's going to be, I think, the first sort of data L2 on Filecoin. And it's built on IPC, and I'll get to that in a second, but I'll do all the marketing stuff first. So this has come after a lot of talks and chats with potential users in the ecosystem and outside of our sort of more standard ecosystem in Web3 and even in Web2. And we've gotten a lot of people saying like, yeah, this is, decentralized storage is great, but like I use S3, can you meet me there? And, our team has spent a lot of time building databases and thinking about data analytic workflows and, all the different TLs. And a lot of them end up leveraging some sort of like object storage style API. So you kind of have to build that before you can build all the other things that we want on top of it. And that's the conclusion we've come to. So, hey, let's go and build that. But we're not just sort of replicating an S3 centralized service or something like that. Like there's no point in doing that. We're going to do this right from the beginning as a decentralized network. We already have a DevNet, testnet, or sort of like a private testnet running live. We're throwing lots of data at it, tens of thousands of blobs in an object store. And with that comes all the things that you expect from a decentralized and cryptographically secure system. So we've got verifiable data integrity. Everything is IPLD. Everything is consensus based with some interesting sort of high throughputs tweaks. So you get sort of like full proofs from end to end for all of the data that you store, which you don't get in a more traditional system. And then programmable persistence. So not everybody wants to store all data forever, right? People want to be able to store data hot for a little while and then just forget about it forever. Or they want to store a little bit of data for a little while and then archive it to Filecoin. And so, through leveraging IPC and our experience in the Filecoin ecosystem, like that's something that we're going to be providing. The Filecoin archiving thing is not fully fleshed out, but the actual working hot layer IPC is running. We have done a lot of research on cost, what this thing is going to have to cost. And through the power of IPC, we can actually control costs quite a lot in terms of like gas fees and total storage costs, and do a bunch of really intelligent sort of lifecycle management to get things off to Filecoin as fast as possible, but no faster, in order to keep those costs down. And one of the things I'm kind of excited about, I don't know how many people here have, like gotten a surprising AWS bill in the past. We've adopted a sort of different model for payment where you basically, it's like account abstraction style thing where you pre-fund it. And then if you use up those funds, you're not going to end up with some like bill that you can't pay at the end of the day. You just aren't going to be able to add any more data. So you can kind of really control what your costs are well ahead of time. And you have pretty good visibility into that. So for people who are interested in that, come and chat with us. But probably the most exciting thing for folks here is it's built on IPC. We're leveraging the IPC subnet framework, and we're taking full advantage of its hierarchical design. It scales surprisingly well. Buckets, if you want to use the S3 language, are custom actors with all sorts of really cool data structures, custom data structures built in. And will be logically sharded subnets. So basically, like if you want a region, there'll be a subnet for that. If you want your own private bucket where you're just proving the state, that's possible as well. And then the last thing that's maybe of interest to folks here is we have been working very hard on a custom lazy synchronization process that allows us to ingest very large files in and have those under consensus whilst in the background, sort of more slowly, but still pretty fast, synchronizing the full state. So you get like a very live chain that reflects updates in real time, but for very large data that gets sort of like hydrated into the subnet in the background by all of the peers. And that's working pretty great. We found one like consensus issue last week, and we're able to patch that super quick. So it's running. This thing is ready to go, and we will be launching it with partners soon. So if you're interested, come and have a chat with us. We're very excited.
Awesome. There's some questions in the chat, which feel free to respond to in the meantime, but we'll also have time for Q&A at the end for exactly how Basin and is going to be a part of the Filecoin ecosystem and kind of connect and show proofs of longer term storage. And there's, feel free to add questions there, and Carson can respond, and we'll go more into it later. For now, moving along to IPFS. I think Yiannis, you're first.
Yeah, hello everyone. IPFS is the one and only data and content platform of Web3, built on peer-to-peer and content addressing. In case you missed it, next slide, please. Quick update on on some of the numbers that our ProbeLab team is providing. Actually, a pretty boring month in terms of numbers. Nothing moved too much up or too much down. So everything seems to be stable in terms of numbers of servers and clients in the Amino DHT, or the latency, the lookup and publish latency. You can find a lot more about this at ProbeLab.io, as well as explanations of what the experiments we're running and how we're monitoring this data. Something new is the daily P95 time to first byte from the IPFS.io and dweb.link gateways, which is, of course, super interesting. It seems to be operating as expected. There are a few bumps and ups and downs, but overall performance that has been expected by the team. Now, on ProbeLab.io, what you can also find is weekly reports for IPFS, with several more metrics on geographic locations of users and protocols that have been supported and new protocols that have been found in the network and so on. We're building weekly reports for many other Lip2P networks that you're going to find at that same spot too in the near future. That's it from me. Thank you very much. And over to Adin, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best standing in for Mosh today. But IPFS Camp it is live. So as Molly mentioned earlier, it'll be after ECC on the 11th to 13th. That's the website to go check out, so you can go sign up. Early bird pricing is through the 2nd, which is soon. So you should go now or like after the meeting. And if you have a talk proposal or a new track, or you'd like to sponsor the event, please reach out. As part of sort of growing the project in general, there's some exciting updates around like making the public gateway infrastructure for IPFS.io and dweb.link more community owned. So this means, having updates to like, terms of service and what are the protocols that are used by the gateways, and talking with users and forming user council around what are the needs from, business users of the gateways and, digital human rights users of the gateways for what they need to see improve, both at sort of the infrastructure layer and at the protocol layers. There's going to be a retrospective on the IPFS Implementations Fund that Mosh is going to be talking about at the Funding the Commons event in the middle of April. And there'll be some reports that come out around that to check out. And that is all for me pretending to be Mosh.
Woohoo! Thank you, Adin/Mosh. Over to an update from the Fluence team on their recent launch.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Molly, can you switch to the next slide right away? Yeah, so have everything here. So we launched Mainnet this month, so we are very excited about that. Gave a lot of stress to IPC team and to our team as well. But so basically we launched the off-chain compute network of compute providers, which is live and running. We launched the on-chain marketplace built on IPC as a Filecoin layer 2, and it also works, and it didn't die yet, and still live, so we are very excited about that. But every day we still we're looking very closely at everything that is happening there. We are slowly onboarding providers. We are slowly allow them to add a compute capacity and submit proofs, and we are checking that everything is operated correctly, that rewards are distributed correctly, all kind of things. So being busy fixing some small bugs, tweaking performance, like some economic parameters, but overall everything looks great. And so we announced a launch in Denver actually in February. We hosted this Dipping Day, had quite a lot of people there. Wang was speaking, was also a lot of people from PL network there, was having fun at East Denver. We had a cotton candy machine at our booth in Denver. So like we offered people to eat some clouds, which was very fun. We also announced this developer reward that we basically allocated Fluence tokens to a lot of Web3 contributors. Actually, like a lot of people from PL network also received them. And so far we got 4,500 claims so far. That's great. It's actually more than we expected out of total 10K capacity of claims. So this is basically half of capacity already claimed, which is amazing. Just keep building, keep looking at this stuff. It works. It's stressful, but it works. So that's been pretty stressful and exciting months.
Awesome. Well, definitely flag if there's ways that we as a community can continue supporting you guys with the exciting new milestone. Pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. With that, we will switch into our spotlights. And I believe I'm the first one. So spotlighting the PhilDev Summit #3 that happened at ETH Denver. It was one whirlwind day, 5 tracks, 37 speakers, 128 attendees, and a really awesome gathering of folks. We had tracks that were focused on people who are new to the Filecoin ecosystem, with the Welcome to Filecoin track, introducing different key components. We had deep dives on kind of smart storage networks. We had updates from IPC and Basin and many other groups. We had a deeper dive on retrievals and FilPlus data cap allocators. We had the announcement and initial workshopping around the Filecoin Retro PGF, and a awesome track on decentralized compute, storage, and AI, which was awesome and accelerating. So big thanks to everyone who was able to attend. The videos are now live for almost all of these. Big thanks to James for all of the editing. So if you scan this QR code, you'll be taken to the playlist of all the videos. There were 5 simultaneous tracks. No one was able to attend all of them at the same time. So all of those videos are up. I've already watched a whole chunk of them that I wasn't able to be in, and highly recommend that. Please share these with all of the people who weren't able to make it in person, but want to follow back up. And I think I already mentioned that we're going to have the next FDS 4 coming soon. We'll get that up on the PhilDev website so folks can plan and start doing early bird tickets. Over to Patrick.
Hello. Yes, so I'm speaking here about Station, Spark, and Voyager. Firstly, to say that the team behind Station has now created a new company, and it's called Space Meridian. So you can imagine sort of there's like lines through space in between all these Web3 planets. That's the kind of imagery we wanted to capture with this. Our first project, Station, it's had a great month. I've actually been out of office this month, but it's been great to see it continue to grow, even sort of passively. We're now up to over 10,000 unique Filecoin addresses participating on Station in March alone. and this is up by many thousand from February and January. The Spark protocol, we've made some nice updates this month. We're now able to calculate the retrieval success rate per storage provider for file retrievals. And this involved a little bit of kind of fiddling around with stuff we could find on chain, and then advertisements going through IPNI, and then matching it back up to the Spark tasking protocol. So we managed to get that all lined up, and that's going to give us some great insights into retrieval success rate. And just say this is about file retrievals, not about not piece retrievals. So it's really cool that we're going to be able to start to see this. And then, so the first module that is running on Station is Spark, and the second one is Voyager. And Voyager is sampling and testing the W3S/Saturn network, as we can see in that nice logo there. Voyager is now making over 500,000 requests an hour to this network to monitor the health of it. And we're going to hopefully increase that over the coming weeks. And we're just putting the payment rails in place such that station operators can earn for doing these Voyager jobs as well. So overall, we're now looking at 2 modules on Station for which users are soon going to be paid for both, and loads more ideas down the track. If anyone would like to speak about similar use cases of sampling, testing, retrieving, and deploying onto the Station DPIN network, then please reach out to us at Space Meridian.
Woohoo! Probably the fastest way to get a whole network of nodes spun up and doing useful stuff. So awesome. And thanks so much for sharing, Patrick. I continue to earn my Station rewards every day. Microfill for the win. Cool. Moving on to Phil Ponto. Eva.
Hi, my name is Eva, and I've been managing Filecoin chain infrastructure for the past few years at Protocol Labs as part of Outercore. My nucleation is Phil Ponto, which is a Blue Fund and support unit with the mission of making Filecoin more accessible to a technical audience, including Web3 builders and companies. My top 3 activities include 1, chain infra as public goods, free tier public RPC, chain indexers and subgraph support, and open source developer tools and libraries. 2, helping Web3 teams integrate with Filecoin. And 3, grants advisory, including day-to-day technical project management of service partners and helping teams figure out how they can grow. I plan to collaborate closely with the Filecoin Foundation's Dev Grants team, with FilOz and other node client teams, and Filecoin TLDR and Anza Research, as well as other teams helping grow the Filecoin ecosystem. Phil Ponto is currently being finalized by the Open Impact Foundation, and as a Blue team, it plans to be transparent about its finances and operations. And I'm excited to be embarking on this now as a decentralized spoke. Thank you. Back to Molly.
Woohoo! Thanks, Eva. And definitely, I know many people have gotten to collab with Eva over the years in pushing forward the whole Filecoin infrastructure space, and excited to see it keep accelerating. Oh, cool. If y'all weren't at ETH Denver, or you weren't one of the set of people who was able to come to the Orbit happy hour or hang out during Filecoin talks, you might not have gotten to talk about some of the themes for Filecoin in 2024. I put together this rough presentation, not to overly self-promote, but was very curious to get people's thoughts, feedback, and debate different points of view on the kind of top main themes for Filecoin in 2024. What I posited, and would be excited to hear other people's ideas, was the top 3 themes were: 1, L2's building on Filecoin, exemplified by Fluence, Basin, and many other groups who are building new networks that interoperate with Filecoin storage and build on top of the Filecoin network of storage providers, technical capabilities like IPC, and kind of the deeper DPIN compute ecosystems that are coming into Filecoin land. Number 2 was building hot, fast storage interfaces for Filecoin. So similar to Basin, leaning into having those like very responsive UIs that make it much, much easier to integrate with Filecoin storage and interface and smoothly with Filecoin L1 storage deals in order to kind of offer that and make it much more accessible in many other networks or for many different application types. And then number 3, scaling the Filecoin economy. There's been a lot of growth in Filecoin FVM TVL. We'll hear about that in a sec, but continuing to scale the DeFi ecosystem, continuing to make improvements at a protocol layer that improve network-wide OpEx, and also onboarding more paying users for Filecoin storage, which is, I know, something the FilStore team is working hard on. And we, I think, as a whole, as an ecosystem, should continue to be pushing a lot on these top 3 themes for the year. But if you didn't get a chance to watch it, there's a QR code to the talk. Otherwise, I'd be really curious to hear if people have thoughts on top themes for Filecoin that maybe aren't covered here, or a different set that you promote. Cool. With that, over to James for protocol office hours.
Thanks, Molly. Hey, everybody. This is James from the FilOz team. And I'm going to speak briefly about our new protocol office series of sessions. We have 2 flavors. We have protocol office days, which are going to be longer sessions focused on really diving deep into specific protocol topics. And we have protocol office hours, which are shorter sessions where you can pop in and ask and share anything that you'd like. All of these are going to be focused topics, and we're hoping to foster collaboration and strategic alignment intra-team and across all of our ecosystem partners and friends. We've already had 3 sessions hosted. We've had a deep dive on aggregators, a deep dive on the Filecoin economics. Those have both been protocol office days. They've been excellent chats. We've had really well attended. Both of those are 3 hours, and we've had a really good AMA session as well for the upcoming network version 22, which was hosted in the Filecoin Slack and the Phil Help channel. Featured a really impressive lineup of Filecoin implementers. We've put everything in Luma so you can stay up to date with all the events that have been, and of course those that are coming up as well. Just go to the link there, which is FilOz.org events. And of course, if you have anything to propose and you want to meet with the protocol and implementation engineers, anything and everything is welcome. Just send us an email at the po@filoz.org address at the bottom of the slide there, and we'd be happy to hear from you and arrange something. That's it for me. Thanks.
Woohoo. All right. On to Sarah for builder update.
Cool. So hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm mostly looking at Filecoin DX. Basically taking everything that everyone has built here that's awesome and bringing it to field and testing it out with how hackers adopt what we have being shipped. So pretty exciting stuff for FVM. TVL has grown a whole bunch since. Well, look at the placement. That's insane, from 80 to number 18 on the TVL charts. It's grown a lot. At the same time, we've also been growing the unique contracts being deployed today. So last I checked was about 3.4. So the number slightly updated. It's been a pretty consistent growth since we launched in March, which is awesome. But that tracks mostly mainnet stuff. On the side of testnet, there are a lot of projects that are testing it out right now, mostly coming from hackathons and then going through. Shout out to the architects team, working really closely with them to bring them through the builders funnel to see them continue to build and eventually ship onto mainnet, which will then increase the number of unique smart contracts that we have deployed. A few cool examples. There's been a lot of excitement around using FVM plus IPC. We've been bringing that into all the hackathons and updated a lot of our core messaging there. So our bounties as well are mostly focused on FVM plus IPC. We've seen some teams use it, actually deploying IPC even to base, which is super cool, and having Solidity contracts as access custom syscalls that they are deploying with the IPC custom subnets that they're using. We've also seen it being used for turn-based games, as well as using storage capabilities on calibration, calling it from IPC subnet, which is much, much faster, and then having those requests being done on calibration itself and pushing it back onto the subnet. In terms of hackathons, we've been super active in that space. Again, working really close with Ruben and James's team. We have the ongoing data economy hackathon right now, which is a flagship hackathon for Filecoin. So we have about close to 400 hackers, and we have about 40 projects that are already soft submitted right now, ending soon. So we're really excited to see what they've built in a month. We've also participated in ETH Global London and ETH Denver to make sure that the Filecoin is still being kept top of mind. And then for scalability, we're participating pretty heavily in that space, so bringing FVM plus IPC together into a few key scalability hackathons. So you might have heard of Scaling Web3, as well as Scaling Ethereum, which are really big hackathons coming right up. In terms of capabilities, we still see usage being super popular around the usage of Lighthouse SDK. So super simple accessing of storage capabilities from a smart contract. So we're excited to see Basin come out as well to see how we can add on as another option for people to use, but there's a lot of demand in that space. However, some areas for growth is, I think, the awareness and the adoption of compute coordination and on-chain payments with FPM is something that we can promote a lot more. So we're looking into creating more documentation and easy ways for people to fork those repos and use it. As well for IPC incoming, we're building some templates for Solidity contracts being able to access custom syscalls on IPC. That's something they have to hack their way around, but we're hoping to provide a really easy template coming out in the next few weeks, as well as GMP, which is now enabled by IPC for single hop to access contracts that are already on calibration and all the capabilities that they have from the IPC subnet. So I think that will really supercharge some of that development there. So yeah, those are all things we're looking forward to. Super excited for MP22 too. All the things that are being announced, like time lock and fast finality. I think these are things that people have asked for in the past few months. So we want to test it out once mainnet ships as well. And we can start doing it with calibration today.
Super cool. Thanks, Sarah. Awesome. With that, we are going to go into our demos and deep dives, starting with Alan for local.storage.
Cool. So really quick background. Last year, we made a really big step towards decentralizing Web3.storage by leaning into UCANs and designing and speccing protocols that use them for uploading content address data. And so, like, I realize not everyone has a good understanding of what UCANs are yet. But if you kind of think about like UCANs as being cryptographic key pairs, decentralized identity, decentralized authorization, verifiable signed requests and responses, and most importantly, like permission delegation. So giving someone else the ability to do something without going through any central servers, you're kind of in the realms of what UCAN is. So we kind of added that to Web3.storage and shipped that in November last year. But the service in and of itself is kind of backed by centralized cloud services still. So the task now for us is to transition it into a decentralized hot storage network, hopefully using all of the good work we've already done as a base. So what is local.storage? Well, local.storage is a spike just to see if it's even possible to run the entirety of the Web3 storage stack locally, or like more specifically as a node on a distributed network of storage nodes. So this is basically an experiment to see if that's possible with what we have right now. So, okay, demo. Let's do a demo. Just 1 second before I delve in. What we did do to make this a little bit easier, while we were doing the UCAN work, we actually separated out our infra code from our implementation code and published the implementation code to NPM. So really, if you wanted to build and run another implementation, all you have to do is kind of install a library and then provide the dependencies to talk to whatever backend you happen to be using. So we are using like, DynamoDB for a lot of storage stuff. So if you want to use something different, then you should quite easily be able to do that. So anyway, should be easy, right? Let's find out. Let's close this up and have a look. All right, there we go. So onto demo. Wish me luck. This is hopefully going to work. So once there's this repo called local.storage in the new W3S GitHub project. I think there's a link on the slides, but I can share it later if you want. You can, once you've cloned it and installed dependencies, you can just start up your own local.storage stack, and it will tell you it's a decentralized identifier. This is how you address the system, and it will tell you that it's running on port 3000, which is great because then we can just go localize 3000, just verify that really quick. There's version endpoint, which tells you that it's running there, and then you'll see a little log here, so we know that it's running. Now on this side, I'm going to be using we have a CLI tool for Web3.storage, which allows you to just kind of upload stuff, create spaces and stuff like that. But what I've done is I've set some environment variables so that it's going to talk to this local version of Web3.storage that we're running. So I should be able to now just do like a W3. What I'm going to do is create a space first, which is just a place where you register your uploads. Like this, and I'm just going to call it like test. It gives you, because a space is basically a private key pair. It gives you that key pair. I need to just like copy them somewhere, and then so I can recover it if necessary. and ask me for an email address, and this doesn't actually send an email yet, but it could quite easily send an email just to verify that I'm a real person. And this really pared down version of email verification. But as you can see now, we've created a space. This is its did, and I'm ready to do some uploading now. So I'm in my favorite folder, the gifts folder, and in this folder I have lots of cool things. Where did that go? Did I get a window there? No, don't know where it's gone. I can't show you. Anyway, I'm going to just upload a cool picture, and I could do that doing W3 up, and then I've got loads of cool things in here. I'm going to put yes, this is dog in there because it's a good one. Yes, this is dog. So there we go. Oh, and I can also do this, like if I put a verbose option in, it will tell me the car file, the SID of the car file that went in, as well as it calculates the piece CID on my client as well as the SID of the thing. And so you can see over here we get lots of log lines and things for uploading. So essentially what happens is when you put something to Web3 storage, you ask it to store something and send you back a URL of where you should put it. And that's the opportunity for us to put stuff to a decentralized network. And so we put to here, and then we did we created some content claims. These are just basically pieces of signed information that are about the content that was created. And you can see these transaction commit things, which are just happening here. And that's because I've swapped out the whole data store. Instead of it being like DynamoDB or something, it's actually a DAG. So the whole of the data store is actually a DAG, and it's just stored in a FS repo. So it looks like this weird. So you could, if you wanted to, you could just hook up a Kubo to this and look at the blocks, and it would be compatible, which is kind of fun. And so this kind of the data store is called Pale, which is just a key value store, and you could do cool stuff like it's just a key value store, and everything is rooted from this one root CID. So I've got this little tool here called Pale, which allows me to like lift out like entries in the Pale, and they're just like keys and values, and you can see here that we've got some claims, we've got delegations in here, we've stored things, and I can do things like I upload another thing, like the classic, the Room Guardian. Let's do that one. Oh, okay, something like that. Oh, because it's not running, that's why. I'll run it. There we go. There we go. Okay. So as long as the service is running, then you can do that. But you can do you can do things like W3 ls to list out the things that you've stored. These are the two things that I did. But if we use this Pale tool, you can actually give it like a prefix. So I can say prefix of upload, and it just list out the keys that begin with upload. It's kind of like level DB. So you can say I want the keys that you can give it like greater than this key and less than another key. And anyway, so that's kind of cool that it's all DAG based. But the other cool thing is I also built this thing called Local Freeway, and Local Freeway you can also start up. And Local Freeway uses content claims that are published to the server to figure out like what bytes it needs to serve a particular piece of data. So if we take our first thing, yes, this is dog. We'll take that IPFS CID and then head on over to here somewhere and go localhost 9000. Local Freeway should be able to serve this. It's really quick because it's coming straight from local storage, local storage. And you can look at the logs here and you can see that like it's getting blobs, it's getting byte ranges from the blobs. The blobs are car files. And so all what it's doing is it's looking at the SID that it was asked for, getting that block, but it has to figure out which car it's in and then get the block from the car by requesting the specific bytes that will satisfy that request, and then serving it to you. So and that's basically the freeway is basically how the Web3.storage gateway, W3S.link, and NFT-storage.link work today. But this is just an example of how this can all work, and it can all be backed by a DAG. And then one other cool thing that I was thinking of was that if it's backed by a DAG and other nodes are also backed by a DAG, then why don't we just allow them to talk together and use the same DAG? That could be a thing. I don't know if we should do that yet, but just an idea. And we could use Merkle clocks for that. We already have an implementation of Merkle clocks. Merkle clocks are used in IPFS cluster for the data store. We have an implementation in UCANs. And the cool thing is with UCAN-based Merkle clocks is you can effectively, because UCANs are all about delegating permissions, you can effectively delegate people ability to change the DAG or not, which is really cool. Anyway, I've probably gone way over on time, but this has been a fun demo and I hope you enjoyed it.
This was awesome. Thank you so much, Alan. This is super cool. Where should people go to find and maybe run this themselves and play around with it?
I will put the link in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have one more demo. Feel free to drop if you have to go, but we're going to finish up for the recording. James, would you mind playing our video from Shashank about Eastore?
Hello everyone, I am Shashank and I am here to give a deep dive into my project Eastore. So our vision with Eastore is to mainstream on-chain decentralized storages for public use, so as to become a perfect service for a customer who doesn't want to trust centralized services like Google Drive, etc. with their files, and to provide a UX such that shifting of people from already Google Drive, etc. to our Eastore is completely frictionless. So there are evident problems with centralized storages to which Filecoin is a solution. So centralized storages are on mercy of their owners, as well as there have been evident cases of data leaks, etc. So that is quite evident. Moreover, there are many issues with currently available solutions to store data on Filecoin as well. Most of them are centralized or through centralized gateways, and as soon as centralization comes into picture, privacy is compromised. Moreover, experience is also not that good. For example, one of the example of centralization is that most of the currently available providers provide retrieval through pinning on IPFS, not directly through files that are getting stored on Filecoin. So that's also an issue. That's also an option component coming into picture. One more issue is that there are currently no on-chain solutions available on FBM that store files directly on Filecoin through FBM. Moreover, if someone wants to store files from independently, so he would either have to have a data cap or a fill token so as to do that. And one more issue that comes with Filecoin is that deals are non-perpetual. So for a person coming from Web2 storage solutions, where he can store a file and keep it for as long as he wants, that's not the case in Filecoin. Yeah, so that's option. So we aim to solve them. First of all, we are completely decentralized on-chain solution, and by that I mean that user can come to our dApp so as to store and manage their files. On the other hand, they can also directly interact with our smart contracts that have been deployed and have also been open source if they don't want to trust ourselves. Next, we have providing cross chains on our Eastore, so user can store files on Filecoin from any of those 10 plus chains. So this enables people who are not having Fil also to store files on Filecoin and manage them through our UX. And third thing, the easy to use interface. As I said, we aim to provide a easy user experience for people to store files on Filecoin, by which I mean, for example, the renewal plan. So as soon as our deals are getting expired, there would be a one-click option so as to renew those deals and keep their files until perpetuality, so as to provide least amount of friction for people to shift to our services. Last and an important thing, we have open source all our smart contracts on which Eastore is working, so as to make it available for builders to build cross-chain dApps, storage dApps on Filecoin through smart contracts, which I believe is the core functionality of FVM. So people can use FVM for any purposes, but the difference between FVM and other chains is that it provides compatibility with underlying Filecoin chain. And also we through open source we enable transparency and trust on our ecosystem. So currently we have recently launched our app on testnet and it's live. You can check it here and give feedback. It's working on testnet because there are many. I contacted a miner on testnet and we have been providing that service on testnet. But mainnet requires a lot of work, mainly because mainnet require aggregated deals, not small deals of few MBs, and also we have been actively working on coming to an on-chain trustless way of aggregation with Filecoin team, as well as to remove blockers and make it feasible, make our app feasible in mainnet as soon as possible. I have been working on some ideas as well, which I would keep on. I would be working soon, and let's hope that we are able to remove those blockers and come to mainnet as soon as possible. So I would love if someone goes to testnet and tests our app, and I would love any feedbacks which you can give me on Slack, etc.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Shashank, and thanks for staying up. I know it's super late for you. I know we're super over time, so thanks everyone so much for the awesome gathering today, and see you all again next month in late April, when we'll have lots of more amazing launches to share with folks. And thanks for the phenomenal demos, and everyone have a great rest of your March. Woohoo! Cheers, friends.